Giving me an up-close and personal view. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the JoAnne Powell Show. I am JoAnne. We're coming to you from the World Center of Broadcast Media, WCOBM.TV, Hollywood. And amid a crisis at home, President Trump is on his first trip abroad since becoming president. Of course, the president's trip comes following him firing former FBI Director James Comey and the investigation into the White House and possible ties it has to Russia. Mr. Trump met with the Pope today, and so far Trump has made stops in Saudi Arabia, Israel, the Vatican, and Brussels. Under fire at home and with the White House in turmoil, Donald Trump is on his first trip abroad as president. It is a 5-stop marathon trip to the Middle East and Europe.
I will strengthen old friendships and will seek new partners.
Recent presidents chose to make their premier trips abroad with allied countries, Canada or Mexico. Trump chose Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the Vatican, followed by Brussels for a NATO meeting and Sicily for a G7 summit.
It's certainly an incredibly ambitious trip. Usually presidents wait a little bit until they wade deeply into the Middle East because it's so challenging.
The Trumps received a warm welcome in Saudi Arabia. Trump met with the leaders of dozens of Muslim states. Saudi Arabia signed a $110 billion arms deal with the U.S.
Saudi Arabia is delighted. They rely on a security relationship with the United States. They were very disappointed with President Obama, who they thought favored Iran rather than them.
The second stop was Israel, where Trump met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Trump is the first sitting president to visit the Western Wall. Trump says he is hopeful peace will come to this region. In this news conference with Netanyahu, when the issue of intel came up, Trump said he never mentioned Israel as a source when he told 2 Russian diplomats classified information while they were visiting with him in the Oval Office.
Just so you understand, I never mentioned the word or the name Israel. Never mentioned it during that conversation. They were all saying I did. So you had another story wrong. Never mentioned the word Israel.
The point here, no one ever accused Trump of mentioning Israel as a source of his information. Just the fact that he shared classified information with the Russians. Trump also met with the Palestinians. Back on Capitol Hill, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn pleads the Fifth. The Senate Intelligence Committee subpoenaed documents from Flynn in regards to its investigation into Flynn's ties to Russian officials. Flynn has opted not to provide those subpoenaed documents because in some way it is thought that providing those documents could in some way incriminate him. So from that perspective, he has opted out. Joining me now to talk about this and the president's trip is political analyst Bill Snyder. Thanks for joining me, Bill.
Pleasure.
Well, you have a lot going on. You have what's going on Capitol Hill, the investigation, and then, of course, we have President Trump abroad on his first major trip. A lot of people are wondering why he decided to go to the Middle East, of all places, versus to an allied country. But he's being pretty well received in some of these countries, and some people are even questioning when he went to Saudi Arabia. He said in his statement that he was not there to change the way they do things, that that was a missed opportunity, to talk about American values, but that, I guess, was not the purpose of the trip. Overall, how do you think he's doing?
Well, I don't think the trip accomplished a great deal in terms of policy, but it did make a symbolic statement that the United States, and President Trump in particular, are eager to have some kind of a restart of the peace process, and also that he's trying to put together a coalition of Sunni Arab states and Israel to resist Iran. That's their common enemy. So I think he had a dual purpose there. Look, he would like to go down as the president who achieved what Clinton and Bush and Obama could not achieve: peace in the Middle East. If that happens, then he can call himself a real winner. That's his objective in life, to be a winner. He wants to win what they failed at.
Well, that's the key. He calls himself the chief negotiator. So that's kind of an area that he seems to feel good about. And I know he had a really warm reception from Saudi Arabia, partially because with Obama, the connection wasn't so good because he was more inclined to do things, to help Iran versus Saudi Arabia.
Well, yeah, the treaty, the nuclear treaty with Iran, which Israel doesn't like, Saudi Arabia doesn't like, a lot of the Gulf states and Sunni Arab states don't like. To all of those countries, including Israel, Iran is a very serious mortal threat, and they want something done about it. Obama wrote a treaty with Iran to get them to stop building their nuclear weapons, which we believe they've stopped. No one knows. I guess it's being enforced in some way. I don't know the facts, but the fact is, Trump wants to put together a coalition that is anti-Iran, and conceivably that would include Saudi Arabia, the Arab Gulf states, and Israel. If Israel and Saudi Arabia can be seen as working together, which is very difficult.
Well, I know while the president is abroad, there's a lot happening here in the United States, and there's a lot of brewing up on Capitol Hill. And one of the things that is going on, of course, was a subpoena of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn to provide his papers, but he has opted not to. Is he possibly in contempt of Congress, or what will happen? I know they're also talking about subpoenaing his businesses because they will not be protected under the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah, well, he obviously is using it to protect himself. That's a perfectly legal thing to do. It's a little embarrassing because if he's not he doesn't want to incriminate himself, which means that a lot of people suspect he may be guilty of some kind of a crime. His testimony will be very, very important, however, because he was the one we know had dealings with Russia before the election, during the campaign. So the question is, what other people on the campaign had dealings with Russia, and were those dealings in some sense illegitimate? That is exactly what the FBI and several congressional committees are investigating.
And as a part of that investigation, we're also finding out that there is a possibility that the president talked to some of the people in the Intelligence Committee to try to derail any type of FBI investigation into ties with Flynn and Russian officials.
That's right. I think he talked to people in the intelligence community, not necessarily the congressional committees, but he tried to discourage them from pursuing this investigation on the very obvious theory that it could be big trouble for him. I mean, right now, all Washington is abuzz with talks of obstruction of justice. Obstruction of justice is a crime. It's difficult to prove, but the accumulating evidence indicates that it just might have happened. The Trump campaign and Trump himself might have attempted to obstruct the investigation by interfering with it. That would be a criminal act, and that would be clearly something that would be grounds for impeachment if it ever came to that.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that the president, I mean, we don't know what he's thinking at the time, do you think that he did something calculated or more just doing business dealings like he's used to? It's just that when you do it with, the people in the government and intelligence community, it's considered to be obstruction of justice versus just trying to broker a deal.
Remember, he is a president who has no political or military experience. The only president we've ever had with no political or military experience. And it's pretty clear he doesn't know what all the rules are and what the procedures are. He's feeling his way along. And in the campaign, he very well might have committed some acts that a more experienced and seasoned politician would know better than to try to do. Trump is very much a self-preserver. Self-preservation is top of the list for him. That's the way he operated in business, and he believes he can operate in politics the same way he operated in business. But let me tell you something. You can't really do that for a very simple reason. Business is not a democracy. Government is a democracy. So you can't operate government like a business.
Very well stated. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Bill Snyder. You're watching the JoAnne Powell Show.
If you are an adult that began college and has not finished your college degree, let me put it to you straight. If your lifestyle and your standard of living is not becoming to you, then you should be coming to us, Oakwood University Elite Program. We are the fast, flexible adult degree completion program for the busy adult, like you.
Register today. Go to oakwoodleap.com or call 256-726-7098. It's time to leap.
I'm JoAnne with the JoAnne Powell Show. You're watching the World Center of Broadcast Media, WCOBM Hollywood.
Thanks to Oakwood University and the LEAP program, I have now a college degree. So to the Spanish-speaking members of this community who feel that the LEAP program is something you should consider, I would say, ánimo a la universidad. Considere el programa LEAP de Oakwood University.
Go to oakwoodleap.com or call 256-726-7098.
Seize the Day Scuba for your best scuba experience above and below the sea. You'll find friendly staff, experienced PADI certified instructors, and state-of-the-art scuba equipment and gear. Join our dive club and we'll help you plan memorable scuba excursions. Immerse yourself. Seize the Day Scuba, serving Southern California. Call 949-220-0500 to create your scuba experience.
When I first started into the program, yes, I had doubts. I was really impressed with Oakwood University, with the faculty and the staff and the student body. It was a really good experience, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who was thinking about going back and finishing their degree.
Register today. Go to oakwoodleap.com or call 256-726-7098.